Hello, I'm back. My name is Michelle. I'm 49. This is part 3 of my velocity banking journey. So quick update. I started working part-time about 3 years ago, if this is your first video. And I'm trying to supplement my income. And as a result of having some rental property, and then I had to get work done and having all these new beginner mistakes, I ended up just really killing my credit. So I discovered velocity banking. I've been watching Christy Van and Ask Me How I Budget is Molly, and I've been kind of learning from them. But let me scoot over so that light's not right there. So a couple things. First, I am such a concrete learner. So I have been watching velocity banking videos and I'm like, I am missing something. Please forgive me for these nails, but I decided, you know what? I need to just get this out the way. Menopause has me in a headlock, so I have to do stuff when I can. Hence the reason why I cut my hair, because I was like, I just need something nice and simple. I don't have a lot of cognitive bandwidth, so I got to save my brain cells. And my nails look horrible, but I was like, nobody's watching my channel for beauty tips, so hopefully it won't matter. Okay, so I've been watching the videos, and I felt like there was a missing piece. So I finally figured it out, which is the basis of the velocity banking principles is that you're putting, like, I'm doing it with a credit card. So like you're putting your whole paycheck on the credit card and then you're matching expenses. But what it finally clicked was like, oh, but that extra money that you're not spending now from bill matching is in essence serving as like extra payments on that particular bill. So I was like, oh, okay, now I'm getting it. Unfortunately for me though, because my credit's a little shaky, when I made a really big payment, it was not, thank God it was not my whole paycheck, but when I made a really big payment on my Fidelity account, they dropped my limit from $2,000 to $500. So I'm a little traumatized. So there's no way in the world that I'm putting large sums of money on credit cards and hoping that my balance stays the same. And I know Molly mentioned like, oh, if you call the credit card company and tell them you're going to make a big payment, they won't drop your limit. But I'm not doing that because I would just be nervous that what if they did? So instead, I am trying to figure out how to do it without kind of putting my whole paycheck in. So here's what I've decided. I have 3 credit cards that I'm trying to pay down. Last video, I told you I had 5 and 2 didn't have balances on it. Well, they have balances on them now, but because I also told you I'm trying to like get a handle on my finances. So because my Fidelity limit is so small, it's only 500, I'm using that one now for almost like miscellaneous. Excuse me. So like at the end of the month, if like for whatever reason during the month I didn't quite budget correctly and I need something else, I just put it on there and then I'm going to pay it off. The Capital One I'm using for business expenses. So this past, 3 weeks, I've had to put like close to 2,000 on there. And I'm actually using velocity banking to kind of balance that out until I get the house fully rented, because right now I'm doing rent by the room. 2 of the rooms are rented. Hopefully I might have another one moving in next week, so that would be 3 rented. But I also have right now tentatively one of the tenants is moving out because I do 3-month leases. And then from 3 months, you can renew to 6 months to 9 months. So this is like my first time doing it. So this is like my first round at this. So anyway, I'm not going to talk about those 2 cards though, because those I can, work on paying off. Because as the rent and stuff comes in, I'll just use that to pay back down the Capital One. So I'm not going to include Capital One in this or Fidelity. Okay, so I have American Express, Bank, Old Navy. I do have Bank of America, but that's one not in good standing, so I'm not going to talk about that one yet. So American Express, Old Navy, and Total Rewards. Now, I really want to pay off Total Rewards. If y'all hear my neighbors, I'm so sorry. I really want to pay off Total Rewards, but I was on a payment plan with them. And when I came off, they didn't open up my limit again. So I can't put anything on there. So I can't use velocity banking for that one. So I just have to pay that $207 outright. But for Old Navy, which tends to be about $130, $140 payment, and with American Express, which I'm on a payment plan with them for $231. Well, I'm kind of on a payment plan. I technically came off of it, but my payment is still $231. So I guess the right hand's not talking to the left, which is perfect for me, but that means they've opened my limit up. So I probably have about maybe 900 to 1,000 available on there. So my original plan, if you watch my part 2 video, was that I was going to put all my expenses on American Express. But because since menopause does have me in a headlock, I got to preserve my brain cells. And that was just too much math, because then that means I have to total up all those bills. Then I have to pay. And it was just, I was like, just too much thinking. So Geico has helped me. And I don't know, maybe they've always had this feature, Geico Insurance, and maybe I just didn't notice it until right now because I need it. But they have a cool feature where you can split your payments among 2 different things. So it works out perfectly. Because my car insurance is high, I have an electric car. My car insurance is probably like $400 or $500 a month. And before you're in my comments telling me I can't afford my car, you only live once, and that is my splurge. I'm not getting rid of my baby. So I am okay. But for those of you who feel like I can't afford it, you don't even have to tell me that. I already know it's a little high, but guess what? I'm keeping my car. I actually got it during the pandemic when teachers were dropping like flies, and I felt like just in case I didn't make it to the end of the school year, at least I would have had my dream car. So I'm keeping my car with my ridiculously high insurance. So anyway, what I'm going to do though is split the insurance in half, and then that way that's going to cover my American Express payment, and is going to cover my Old Navy payment, which is perfect. Now, here's where that limited math, it just kicks my butt. So I know in theory, that means that those 2 payments then should somehow show up in my budget. And so I haven't quite been able to find that extra money. And it's probably just because I really don't have systems together. And so what's happening is right now, I'm still kind of mixing personal money with business money. And so I really have to get that together. That is definitely one of my goals for February, is to really just separate out all of that. And so I've been a little better about, like, I have a teacher pay teacher store, and I literally just, I had already turned it into an LLC, but I really didn't have a specific account. I kind of had that money going to my business account for my rental, which of course it's 2 different businesses. So my goal is that by the end of February, I will have a better handle on like my accounts and where the money is going. And so I'm hoping that then I'll actually be able to see like that extra money, and then I can put it towards a payment. So for February, and why I'm talking about February in the middle of January, is because my district is paying us a week early. We normally get paid the last day of the month, but we're getting paid early. So I want to have my budget worked out for February. So if you see me looking down, it's because I have my little notebook. So here's what I've decided. My current balance with Old Navy is $3,633.44. My minimum payment was $132.64, and I ended up paying $223.40. So right now the interest hasn't hit yet, because my balance at the end of December was $3,856.84. Now the interest is about $90-ish. So once that hits, I know it's going to go up a little bit more, but I'm okay with that. So my goal is I'm going to pay Old Navy down to the 30% marker, because whenever you hear about credit scores, they always tell you try to keep your credit utilization under 30%. So I did the math, and in order, my limit on there is like in the 4,000 something. So 30% is like, it would be 1,230. And so I still need to pay $2,403.44 to get my balance to that 30%. Now, I know we all have different goals. My goal is not to be debt free as soon as possible. My goal is really just to build up my credit so that I can secure some business funding, so that I can get 2 more rental properties, because eventually I would like to transition out of teaching and into being a full-time affordable housing landlord, because I just know we have a housing crisis and I just want to help people. So I'm not someone that is like trying to get rich from real estate. I just want to help people and just be able to kind of make my living from there. And so I know that sometimes, my math decisions do not make sense to everybody. But because I've been a teacher for 23 years, clearly if I was about maximizing money and time, I would have never been a teacher in the first place. So this is what makes sense for me. So my goal is to get Old Navy down to 30% utilization. And then from there, I'll move on to Total Rewards. And then from there, I'll move on to American Express. I think it really just depends, because whichever one of those two cards has the higher utilization, I'll focus on that one next. I don't have a timeline for this. So I don't have some goal that by such and such date, I'm going to have this under a 30% utilization, because I'm really more interested in building sustainable life habits. So, I mean, hopefully it'll happen sooner than later, but I just want to have these kind of habits in place. So in my last video, I also mentioned that I really want to get a better handle on my spending, because I feel like I don't really know my numbers. Like, I have like a ballpark figure, but I don't really have systems connected to my money. And I would like to, because I just think it would make my life easier. So I'm a self-professed minimalist, and like I have 5 black pairs of pants, 5 black shirts. I wear them every day to work. Like I don't have to think about that. And I want my money to be that streamlined also. So I want to know, every month I spend 400 on food, or 100 on household, or 60 charging my car, whatever it is. I want those numbers to be a little firmer, and I also want systems connected to it. So I've decided to move to all cash again, because I feel like that will keep me kind of within my limits. So my goal is to be under 100 a week. I'm sure you've seen some other videos about I don't cook. And no, you don't need to tell me that it's cheaper to cook. I know. Again, we all live our own lives, and we have to decide what works for us. And so I don't want to cook. So I factored that in, and clearly I don't spend money on other things, so I'm okay with spending money on food. But anyway, I still want to get a handle on that and have a better system. So I've actually, because I'm only using cash, I've decided to do the $5 challenge. And so what that means is, every time I spend, if I get a $5 bill back, I keep it. And I'm going to use that money to make additional debt payments at the end of the month. So that'll be just another way to add a couple debt payments. The other thing that I'm going to do is really, I guess, kind of be a little bit more intentional with my teacher pay teacher store, because I found that in this world of trying to be an entrepreneur, not because I want to be at all, I'm completely okay with a 9 to 5, which is like, you tell me when to come, you tell me when to leave, you tell me how much I'm making, you tell me the exact day I'm getting it. I love that. But unfortunately, teaching and the direction it's going, I don't have the temperament for it. So I know that I have to find like something else to do. Ideally, like I would love to work in like a juvenile detention center or like a jail as a teacher, but the pay is like, it's really not good. But if I could somehow, like within a school system, be a part of like a non-traditional program, like I would love to do that. Like maybe kids who maybe like they've missed a lot of school because of sickness, or they've had babies, or they were incarcerated, and then they need a non-traditional schedule. Like I would love that. But who knows? Right now, that's not the position I'm in. And so it's just a little stressful for me, because I don't necessarily always play nicely with adults. I'm more into efficiency than relationships. And unfortunately, that does not pay well when you're a teacher, but I love the children. So anyway, off that little rant. So I'm really trying to get more focused on my teacher pay teacher store and be more committed. Like when I worked at Dollar Tree, if they told me to come on a Tuesday from 4 to 6 or 4 to 8, regardless how tired I was, I would go. And I want to have that same level of commitment to my teacher pay teacher store. So I've really sat down, I've mapped out like what I want to get done, how I want to do it. And because I'm a high school English teacher, I think I'm going to start focusing on novel studies, because I really love to read. And I think that would be good. especially because I've had experience at like the elementary level. I can kind of throw in some kind of remediation activities for the kids who aren't reading on grade level, but you still want them to read grade level text. So anyway, this what I've decided with the Teacher Pay Teacher store is the expenses on my store are super low because it's all digital. So other than like the yearly subscription of like $60, monthly it's only about $35, and that's because I pay for Netflix and I pay for Disney Plus, because one of the things that I sell in my store are movie guides. So of course I need to be able to watch movies. And then the other thing is every month I give out a $10 gift card. I do a drawing based on who's on my email list. So those three things total about $35. So anything after that, what I'm doing is dividing that amount, saving half of it and putting the other half on my Old Navy card. So of course, the more I sell, then the more I'm able to put onto my Old Navy card. So that's the plan on where kind of those extra payments will be coming from. So again, quick recap. The first goal is that instead of putting everything on American Express, that's just too much math. I'm just going to divide my car insurance payment and put it on American Express and Old Navy. So that covers that payment. Then what I'm going to do is take any extra money that I make or get, this time around. I'm going to put that on Old Navy. And I know in my last video, I mentioned that I had come across some financial blessings. Well, I hadn't actually figured out how to divide that money up. So as of this video, that money hasn't been added to Old Navy, but by my part 4 video, it will. So that will probably help decrease my balance. So again, thank you for coming on this journey with me. I'm glad that it's working. I'm glad that I'm getting on here smiling and that, the plan that I had in my head is actually working out. So until later, I hope you have a great day. As you can see, I have my Steelers shirt on because we are in the midst of the playoffs. The Steelers play the Bills today, so hopefully we will win. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.